Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos. Another paid request, this time for Walker. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of reviews, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. I will try to get to them as soon as I can. But this is a reaction Walker wanted me to do to Cody Leach's list of top 100 movies of all time, at least in his opinion. Now, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Now, of course, it's this guy's list. I'm not going to be showing the video because YouTube doesn't like it when I do that. Just, YouTube does that a lot. So Cody Leach, who I haven't minded his videos. He does remind me a bit of Danny McBride, which is a compliment, but it's kind of like Danny McBride did YouTube videos. He even kind of sounds like Danny McBride. Yeah, I mean that as a compliment. As he says, hey, this is my ranking. I expect you guys to agree or to disagree with it. It's like every ranking that every person has ever made. So, like my top 100 would be very different from a lot of people's. Kids would be like, "What? That movie? That movie?" Yep, it is. I agree with that. How like in one week one might be lower, and another week this movie may be higher. I know how that goes. Wow, number 100 is Gladiator, the 1992 film. I do know that film, and I do like it. Cuba Gooding Jr., James Marshall. James Marshall would later be in that remake of that killer elevator film called The Shaft, also known as Down. I remember having a pretty good cast. The actors did their jobs very well. Remember the fight scenes were pretty well choreographed, especially in the finale. The music is pretty solid. Brian Dennehy play. Always great to see him in there. Nice to see that on the list. That's a pretty interesting choice. Wow, Judgment Night. Another good choice. I love Judgment Night. Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr. It's a great thriller. These guys go into. I can't go for. I love Judgment Night. Liar Liar. That's a fun comedy. Very fun comedy with Jim Carrey. Jumanji, good family film with Robin Williams. I like these choices so far. Judgment Night is very surprising, but a good choice. Let's say Jumanji is fun. The Way Back. I know he had this on his 50 favorite comedies list. I mentioned before, I've never seen it. Unbreakable. My favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. Bruce Willis. Did a great job. Loved the tone of it. Great musical score. Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a fun comedy. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. A lot better than Big Mama's House. Dumb and Dumber. That's a classic. Definitely in my top 5 Jim Carrey films. My favorite is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Friday. I love Friday. Hilarious. I've seen that multiple times on VHS. Got the DVD over there. Oh, Okay, X-Men 2. Definitely the best X-Men film. I like it. Wouldn't be my top 100, but it's a good action movie. Hugh Jackman has some solid moments. Gone Baby Gone. That's a film I've seen, and I enjoy that as well. Casey Affleck stars in it. You got Morgan Freeman. It's about a little kid that goes missing, and Casey Affleck has to go find the person. I know one interesting aspect is that the kid was with this mom who's not the best mom, maybe a bit of a druggie, from what I remember, and that the family she was with currently was actually much better for her, but at the same time, it's still against the law. So it's one of those that. Yeah, that's what he means by it ends on a moral question. Will you let the kid be with the alternate family even though it's illegal, but it would be best for her? Or do you go with that's the mom, that's who she, maybe there's hope that she'll change, but maybe not. Definitely, like you said, some interesting conversation. 40-year-old virgin, eh. Never big on it like others are. Boys in the Hood, good movie. Not a film I rewatch a lot, but it is a good film. American Pie. I don't mind the first American Pie, but gross out comedies are not usually my thing. Dirty Work, that was on his favorite comedy list. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. Yeah, rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. Wedding Crashers, never been big on. Like I said, more of that gross out comedy stuff. There's others I enjoyed a lot more than Wedding Crashers. I didn't hate it. Sex Drive, that's one that I didn't never seen. Fight Club, really enjoy Fight Club. That was well directed. I thought the twist was kind of crazy and interesting. I thought David Fincher did a really good job portraying a sort of different style. American Pie 2, I really don't remember a single thing about American Pie 2. And I know I've seen the film. Damn, which is just not. The Cable Guy is entertaining. The big talk to the town was how much Jim Carrey got paid for that. Definitely a darker type of comedy from Jim Carrey. So number 8 is The Karate Kid. The original Karate Kid. Good choice. I mean, I prefer the Karate Kid Part 2 more, but Karate Kid is classic. Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita worked very well together. The music, the songs, the moment of truth work well. The wax on, wax off scene still works to this day. It's a bit lengthy. It's like well over 2 hours. I think it would have been cut down a little bit. But I still enjoy Karate Kid. Kick Ass, I probably liked it a bit more now than I did when I first saw it. But Hit Girl is definitely much better than the lead. Like, the lead is kind of one of my issues with it. Spider-Man 2, not a bad film. Definitely the best of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Definitely one of the better Spider-Man films altogether. Action scenes like this are still pretty well staged. Heat is classic. I love Heat. Pacino, De Niro going toe to toe. Michael Mann did a wonderful job with that. Love the Moby song music used at the very end of the film. Crazy cast when you look at it. Crazy cast of recognizable people. John Wick Chapter 2. Great to see that on the list. Love John Wick 2. It's hard to pick. I love all three John Wick films, but John Wick Chapter 2 was a lot of fun. Just kick ass. Love that stuff with the pencil. You definitely get to know what he does with the pencil then and there. Mission Impossible Fallout. That was a really fun movie. Definitely one of the better Mission Impossible movies. Prestige. I didn't see. Deadpool, I do like. I'd probably say I like Deadpool 2 more, though. I'd probably say I like Deadpool 2 more, but I like the first Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was born to play that role. And I did not grow up reading the comic book, so this is my introduction to him. Not a fan of Face Off, I'm sorry. I think Travolta and Nick Cage are too over the top in their performances. The pacing is a bit of a slog. I much prefer Broken Arrow, I much prefer Hard Target, much prefer other John Woo films. Hard Boiled. Fast 5 is good. Definitely the best of the franchise. Cool to see The Rock and Vin get into a fight, especially funny nowadays considering how we found out they pretty much do hate each other. The Rock was a great addition to the franchise at that point. The other Gladiator. Could never get into Gladiator. I much prefer the 90s one with the boxing one. This one, I don't know. Maybe that sword and sandal type of movie was just never my cup of tea. It's hard for me to... There's certain either genres or certain types of movies that just hard for me to get into. Hard for me to find interest in. There's always exceptions to the rule, but like Sword and Sandal... I mean, I like Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. You know, Sword and the Sorcerer. But... like I said, Gladiator just... I could never get into. Just never did anything for me. Now this Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, definitely. See you at the party with Man of Steel. Disagree 110%. Not a fan of this at all. I think it sucks. I think Superman sucks in it. I think he's an emo bitch. I think the ending is ridiculous and stupid. Logan, I do like. It's a tad overrated, but I do like it. I do like the violence. I think Hugh Jackman does a solid job. Pretty depressing movie. I do like Logan. Love True Lies. This is a classic for me. I picked them. Do you kill people? Yes, but they were all bad. Of course, The Matrix. Classic. Saw this in the theater back in the day. Fell in love with it. Saw all three of the trilogy. There's only 3 movies to me. And enjoyed each one of them. The Faculty I don't mind. I mean, I don't love it as much as he does, but I like it. It does feel a bit tame because really not many people die in it. Even here, he just stabbed in the eye, but he doesn't die from it, but I don't know. I still enjoyable. I still enjoy the film. Tetsuya Master 2003, I actually think it's a pretty decent remake. I think back then I kind of went back and forth, but I'm like, you know what? No, I do think it's pretty decent. Oh, the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect. Ashton Kutcher, he pulled it off. Very disturbing, dark story with some crazy twists in it. Near Dark, Bill Paxton stole the show. I think Adrian Pasdar was a bit miscast. I kind of wish someone else was in the lead. But there's other vampire films I like more. But I like Near Dark. Yep, Starface. Starface would be on my list as well. Love Starface. Starface is fantastic. I love Al Pacino's performance. Great soundtrack. I love the look of the film, the set design, the whole feel of it. The lines of dialogue. The word Chico. Anybody in it? The ending is crazy. You die now, motherfucker. Big old cocaine. Sorry, I'm listening to what he's saying, but I definitely agree with what he says about Starface. Christine works well. Is that my favorite John Carpenter film? Victrola China and Assault on Precinct 13, The Thing. There's ones I enjoy more. I do like the car sequences. John Stockwell's pretty bad in it, though. Yeah, the Dawn of the Dead remake I do enjoy. I saw this in the theater. I prefer the original, which I know was not on his list. Wasn't on his list of favorite horror films, so. But Jeepers Creepers, not into it. It's hard for me to separate the art from the artist because of Victor Salva. Also, the psychic lady was pointless to me. Phantasm, I don't mind the film. There's other 70s films I prefer more. Halloween, Alien. The Patriot Bo Gibson. Interesting choice. Bit underrated for a Roland Emmerich film. Not many people really talk about that, but Breakdown. Great thriller with Kurt Russell, where he's on the hunt to find his wife who's been kidnapped. Kurt Russell delivers a lot of emotionally charged sequences with his performance. GoldenEye, my favorite James Bond film, reinvigorated the James Bond. Although I like License to Kill a lot. But yeah, there's really stellar action sequences, especially the tank sequence. The Terminator, classic. What do you say about the Terminator that hasn't been said? Come with me if you want to live. Arnold was an intimidating foe. Casino Royale, good James Bond movie. Wouldn't be in my top 100, but not a bad film at all. Definitely introduced Daniel Craig well to the audiences. Catch Me If You Can. I've heard of the film. I really have no interest in watching it. I've seen clips and pieces. Like I said, just really don't have a lot of interest in it. Like the story just doesn't intrigue me. Oh, again, the just even how he's describing it just doesn't interest me. I don't know. Is it as good as Man of Steel? I'm just yeah. Misery, that is a good movie though. James Caan, he's a tough guy, and it's hard to make us feel sorry for him, but make him bedridden and how the damn ankles get broken by the sledgehammer. Effective scene. Silence of the Lambs. I prefer Manhunter, but I do like that flick. Anthony Hopkins souls it. Tango and Cash, classic. Great to see Tango and Cash on the list. Best of what we got. Fubar, fucked up beyond all recognition. Die with a Vengeance. First Die Hard's my favorite, but Die with a Vengeance is pretty close. Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson worked with fantastic chemistry. Not a fan of Ghost Protocol. I find it rather boring. And to be, I think it's one of the weakest Mission Impossible films. 7, very dark, nihilistic. Like that, that's a pretty crazy makeup effects. The original Fright Night classic, one of my favorite vampire films. Ryan McDowell is very fun and charming as Peter Vincent. Chris Sarandon works well as the lead vampire. Phantasm 2, I do like it. Would not be in my top 100. It's my favorite of the Phantasm films. Frailty, crazy twists, very inventive, unique story. Bill Paxton does double as star and director, and really made it work. So 40 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Hey, I definitely think it's the best of the MCU films. I mean, Captain America, the first one took a bit to the grow on me, the first Avenger, but nowadays I do like it. The Winter Soldier I thought was even a more of a huge step up from the first one. And Civil War I liked as well, but The Winter Soldier, the story was intriguing enough, the action scenes were very well choreographed, and Chris Evans really made Captain America his own. Sadly, a few years later, everything would go down the shitter. Brad Chucky, no. I think back then, I didn't mind it. Nowadays, just very goofy, silly, very stupid of a movie. Pulp Fiction is a classic. Bruce Willis getting the sword. John Travolta having put the needle in the heart. Just so many great famous scenes in that movie, man. The Goonies, entertaining adventure film. You felt like you wanted to be one of those kids. Long Kiss Goodnight, great choice there. Gina Davis being a badass. Much better version of Captain Marvel. First Blood, of course. Why not? Classic. Don't push it. I'll give you more you won't believe. Let it go. Let it go. I still like Forrest Gump. A lot of people don't like it nowadays. They feel that it's overrated, overhyped. It lost its luster. But I always enjoyed Forrest Gump ever since I first saw it. Carlito's Way, I remember not minding it. That's a pretty violent movie. Of course, Aliens, yes. For me, it'd be much higher, but great to see it on the list. I mean, Aliens is literally one of my favorite films of all time. Literally one of my favorites. Easily top 5 for me. I could watch that movie anytime, day and night. Chef, I think he mentioned this on his favorite comedy list. Jon Favreau, John Leguizamo. Rudderless. Never heard of Rudderless. Never heard of it. So a father loses his son, his life crumbles. Finds the CDs that his son was recording music. It doesn't seem like it'd be my kind of movie. Just doesn't seem like it'd be my type of film. But rest in peace to Anton Yelchin. It's sad what happened to him. Just a complete freak accident with the car rolling, and could have happened to anybody, and just sad. Anton Yelchin seemed like a pretty good actor. For all intents and purposes, a nice guy. And very sad that all happened. Very sad. It's too bad. Huh, William H. Macy directs it. That's interesting. I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad film. Just, I don't know, it would be my cup of tea and loving it. Multiplicity, it's a time waster. I definitely don't think it's as funny as he thinks it is for number 29. I don't mind it. I mean, My Cousin Vinny is a funny film. Everything that guy said is bullshit. Thank you. Love The Shawshank Redemption. Love it. Favorite of mine as well. Do you busy living or do you busy dying? Never understood the hype for Point Break. I just never understood it. I don't think Keanu Reeves does that great of a job, and I love Keanu Reeves. I don't give a crap about surfing. So Dutch. Didn't mind Dutch. I mean, there's a lot of other comedies I prefer. John Hughes films I prefer. I didn't mind Dutch. John Hughes had a hand in writing, producing it. Predator, classic, of course. Love Predator. My favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Cool to see that on the list. Out of the Town with Ben Affleck. Probably the best film he's directed is The Town. Jeremy Renner is very solid. Twins with Arnold. Cool to see Arnold stretch his comedic muscles. It was the right fit. And he had good support with Dan DeVito and Ivan Reitman. Ivan Reitman definitely helped make that film successful. Tommy Boy, hilarious. Chris Farley and David Spade, perfect chemistry with each other. And Chris Farley, we just lost him way too soon. Very sad. But he was his own demon that you couldn't fight. Frequency. Frequency is a great movie. It's funny, someone had mentioned, like, what's your favorite Jim Caviezel film? I couldn't think of one. He's like, well, what about Frequency? He's like, oh, yeah, well, I guess because I always think of Dennis Quaid more than Jim Caviezel, but Jim Caviezel does a good job as well. Beautiful father-son story, very touching, well handled. The ham radio, yeah. Because, yeah, Jim Caviezel's character dealing with the loss of his father, and he's finally able to talk with him again, get a second chance, change the future, save his life. This is a very touching father-son story. It has a lot of heart to it. I even like the song at the end by Garth Brooks. I'm not like a huge Garth Brooks guy, but I think the song at the end works very well. I mean, I'm not in tears, but I do think it does a good job. Give a lot of heart to the story. The Departed. Not a bad film. Definitely a hell of a cast. Not a film I rewatch a lot, but again, not a bad film. Do quite like Inception though. My favorite Christopher Nolan film. Visually beautiful movie. Very intriguing story as well. Child's Play 2 is a great sequel. The Doll Factory finale, perfect choice for it. The Maze of Dolls. Uncle Buck is a lot of fun. My favorite is Summer Rental and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but Uncle Buck is a fun one. John Candy really makes that film work tremendously. The Ref, Diz Larry does a solid job. It's too bad Kevin Spacey's in this, but I still liked the film. Diz Larry's a lot of fun in that. The original Number on Elm Street, classic. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. Such a cool idea. If you die in your dreams, you die for real. Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Very cool, kick-ass sequel. My favorite is Elm Street 4 The Dream Master. That's my favorite Elm Street film. That would probably be on my list somewhere. I'm not sure where, but it's somewhere would be on my list. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Eh. Loves Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. The whole F-bomb at the airport. The way John Candy and Steve Martin work with each other. The heartfelt moment where you find out why John Candy's alone and what's going on. And wonderful Thanksgiving movie. Rest in peace to John Candy. Number 10, the original Pet Sematary. I was never steered by Pet Cemetery. I liked the film. I liked the sequence where, well, I don't want to say liked, but the scene where the kid gets run over by the semi truck. I think Dale Midkiff. Well, I can understand his acting may not be grade A all the way through. I think he really sells that scene and that stream of bloody murder. I thought the way that was done and edited was very, very effective. Not big on the ending, not big on the out of the blue Ramones song, I wanna be buried in a pet cemetery, after this very dire circumstances. I think that scene with the sister, Tasha Yar's, Denise Crosby's sister, whoever, I didn't think it was as creepy as people make it out to be. The lead, I mean, even the character in the poster kind of could have been utilized more. Midnight Run, that's a fun one. They had the same director that did Beverly Hills Cop 1. And I agree, the chemistry between the two worked very well. The other bounty hunter who Robert De Niro keeps knocking out. Hey, look! A warrior. Yeah, I've heard countless people talk about Warrior. I mean, I did eventually see it. Didn't mind it for what it was. I prefer other sports movies like the Rocky films and other stuff, but didn't mind Warrior. I'm not a big Tom Hardy guy. Joel Edgerton, I do like more. Then Nolte, I mean, he's a good actor, but nowadays, I'm just so fixated on how his voice is so gone. It started like this, now Ned Nolte's voice is always like this, like he smoked 85 packs of cigarettes. Sorry, I'm just listening to what he's saying. So number 7 is True Romance. Rest in peace to Tony Scott. They had a crazy cast when you looked at it. You got Brad Pitt, you got Christopher Walken, you got Dennis Hopper, you got Gary Oldman, of course Christian Slater, even like Bronson Pinchot's in it. Good movie. Do like it. there's other Tony Scott films I prefer. Beverly Hills Cop 2, The Last Boy Scout. But yeah, True Romance. Sorry, they showed a bit of Michael Rappaport, and God, I mean, I don't always agree with the guy, but I will admit there are times he does crap me up. I admit. I would say I prefer From Dusk Till Dawn for films that he wrote, but I do like True Romance. Of course, Goodfellas. Rest in peace to Ray Liotta. I mean, when I think of Ray Liotta, I think of either Copland or this movie. And definitely one of my favorite Scorsese films, along with The Wolf of Wall Street and a few others. I do like Taxi Driver. I even like the way it ends with Ray Liotta, where his character lands, and how, in a way, that's kind of his version of a hellish landscape. I won't spoil the end. Well, people know what Goodfellas is. It's a very unique direction by Scorsese. Yeah, the cast works very well together. I mean, Ray Liotta did a few other good films, Unlawful Entry being one, but sadly, it's definitely unforgettable, which is sadly pretty forgettable. The Lost Boys. Recipes of Joe Schumacher. Once again, the showcase. Joe Schumacher is a lot more than Batman Forever and Batman Robin. He did Falling Down, he did 8mm, he did Phone Booth, even DC Cab, all films I enjoy. Lost Boys, definitely one of my favorite vampire movies. Kick-Ass soundtrack, great set of villains. Rest in peace to Corey Haim as well. Even Jason Patrick isn't too bad, and I'm not a big Jason Patrick guy, but he's actually not too bad in this. Definitely has a good style and flair to it. And you see the soundtrack like Cry Little Sister. Number 4, Back to the Future. One More to Be Said. Definitely a classic. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd work well together. Cool story of going back in time and meeting your dad when he was in school, and the idea, would you be friends with your dad if you were both in the same age? Sad what happened to Michael J. Fox. Is sad with the affliction that he's been given, and seems like a nice guy. Sally has to go through that. Just a damn shame. Just a damn shame. Number 3, John Carpenter's The Thing. Good choice. It would definitely be up there for me. I mean, this is like the closest to a perfect horror film as you can get in terms of outstanding effects, beautiful cinematography by Dean Cundy, eerie score by Ennio Morricone with a touch of John Carpenter. Every cast member works well. Yeah, it's not in depth to each character, but you get at least each person has a unique look to them, a little bit unique feel, so they don't seem the same. So it's definitely a well cast movie. I say it has a nice sense of paranoia of who's the thing and who's not. And sadly, the film didn't do anything when it came out. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is number 2. I do like the film. I do think the action scenes are well done. Arnold, Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick. Love the idea of the T-1000. Brad Fidel does a wonderful job on the score. Now, I like T2, but there's other action films I enjoy more. I either find more exciting or more exhilarating or more satisfying. Like, The Terminator is my favorite of the franchise. I don't care for the Terminator. I get why in terms of the story, but this is kind of the start of making the Terminator more neutered. What I mean by that is because of John Connor and what he says, Terminator has to shoot people in the kneecaps, has to shoot people but not kill people. I'm a Terminator. You have the Terminator try to smile. It's kind of the it's a good movie, but at the same time, it's kind of a beginning of the end and make it a bit more mainstream and a little less horror gritty feel, which I think the Terminator worked well. And it's still rated R, but it just felt a bit toned down in terms of the violence, in terms of that horror aspect, and that kind of flourished more in the sequels. But it is a good movie, and all you needed was 2 movies. Of course, Die Hard, absolute classic. Love the original Die Hard, definitely would be on my list. Love the. I mean, it's a simple idea, but yet you're surprised it has been done dozens of times before. Bunch of bad guys in one building, a skyscraper, a cop left to fend for himself, using this environment to go up and down and around to deal with the bad guys. But at the same time, Bruce Willis and his wit, his one liners, his reactions felt real. Alan Rickman does a wonderful job as Hans Gruber. He's charming, he's sinister. The actresses are still well handled by John McTiernan. Yeah, John McClane, the first one was a regular guy thrust in this crazy situation. Of course, that's the poster they used because the original poster, there's a building, the top explodes, and it reminds people of the World Trade Center. Although I still think that's a cool poster. But yeah, that's why they don't have it, because it creates people, questions, or people remember, and it creates more controversy. And it's just that poster doesn't really have. It's just Bruce Willis with this, and I mean, it just doesn't have the thrust of the original poster. Which I wonder if that poster is more and more rare because of that image, which isn't the movie's fault. But anyway, but yeah, Dyer is absolute classic. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good list. Pretty good list. Great to see things like Die Hard, Aliens, Predator, The Thing. Back to the Future being on the list is good. And nice to see stuff like Frequency, Inception, Shawshank Redemption, Aliens, Fright Night. Cool to see like Judgment Night and such on there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, overall, pretty good list. I mean, I don't agree with Man of Steel. I don't agree with Face Off. Never agree with Point Break. Braticelli, nah. Which I was surprised, like, didn't he like Child's Play 3 more than Braticelli? Maybe not. Great to see Tango and Cash on there. Great to see Die Hard with a Vengeance on there. So, yeah. Pretty fun list. Few ones I disagree with, but, not too shabby. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.